Vienna's U-Bahn network is stepping into the future. After 3 years, 6 months and 6 days, the heart of the U2 line between Schottentor and Karlsplatz reopened again on the 6th of December. The line has seen an extensive modernisation, including the introduction of Vienna's first ever platform doors. Seeing as reopenings like this don't take place every day, I couldn't miss the opportunity to ride on the very first train from Schottentor to Karlsplatz. Come along with me as we explore what the new U2 line has to offer. So I have now arrived at Schottentor. It's 4:48 in the morning, so it literally still feels like the middle of the night. But I'm going to be catching the first train today to Karlsplatz on the U2, which departs at 5:02. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to head down to the station. When arriving on the platform, we can see all the signage has been replaced, with Karlsplatz once again being the terminus station of the U2. The dot matrix display on the platform not only shows the departure times, but also a special welcome message saying the comeback of the year. The U2 upgrade has faced many difficulties and delays, so this long-awaited opening is definitely a major comeback. As the U-Bahn staff are preparing for the arrival of the first train, several underground fans gather on the platform, who have probably been partying all night long to experience the very first U2 departure. The excitement of the new U2 stations is big, and it seems that there are several people who have come here specifically to ride the first train. The second train that arrived at Karlsplatz was almost empty in comparison. Let's go over to the departure platform and take a closer look at the platform doors. Yeah, it feels funny being here after all this time because the station feels so familiar, but at the same time it also feels totally different with these platform doors. Just the feeling of the platform, it's totally different than it was before. The platform doors have been built in preparation for Vienna's new U5 underground line, which in the future will be taking over this section from the U2. Each door has a screen above the entrance, informing passengers about how busy the train is and where the next wheelchair spaces are located. There are also buttons on each side of the door to open them, although at the moment every door is opened at every station anyway, so you won't be needing them for now. Below the doors you have a panel with some lines on it, which according to a member of staff from the Wiener Linien is for insulating all the electronics that enable the operation of these doors. While no major problems could be observed, there are some things that weren't working quite as they should. For example, some of the doors were still out of order. While on the newer Type X trains the two doors open simultaneously, on the older Type V trains there's a short delay between the train doors and the platform doors opening. Another feature that hasn't got quite the same amount of attention are these new blue buttons next to the emergency help point. When the button is pressed, the doors on the next arriving train will be kept open longer than usual to enable disabled passengers to get on safely. This button can also come in handy for teachers when going on school trips to ensure all the children have enough time when getting on the train.
The distance between the stations between Karlsplatz and Rathaus are relatively short. This is because when the line was built in the 1960s, it was originally a tram tunnel rather than an underground line. Back in the 1950s, car traffic in Vienna was increasing at a rapid pace. As the construction of a proper underground was seen as too expensive at the time, the city of Vienna laid parts of its tram network below the ground instead. One of these tram tunnels was built between Karlsplatz and Landesgerichtsstraße, where tram services with an index number 2 ran until the 1980s. Then the line was converted into the U2, which originally only run as far as Schottenring with short 4-carriage trains. However, as the U2 would be expanded later on, the section of the line was rebuilt yet another time in the early 2000s to enable longer trains. While doing so, one of the stations, Lerchenfelder Straße, was shut down, as with longer trains the stop distance would have been ridiculously short otherwise. And now the section was rebuilt yet another time in preparation for the U5. The U5 will start running between Karlsplatz and Frankplatz in 2026. Hence, it will share its infrastructure with the U2 at first, before in 2030 the U2 will get a new route down to Matzleinsdorfer Platz. So in the last 40 years, the tunnels between Karlsplatz and Rathaus have been rebuilt 3 times, which is very frequent for such a short space of time.
When you look at the U-Bahn here today, you will actually notice that some of the elements from the time of the underground tram line actually still remain. Like, for example, these purple tiles have remained here ever since. I do wonder, though, when they introduce the U5, will these tiles become turquoise, or are they going to keep them in purple? Only time will tell. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, the reopening of the U2 definitely took quite a bit of time because it was originally supposed to open in September 2023, and now the project has got delayed until 6th of December 2024. But why did the project actually take such a long time? I did a little bit of research about it.
Back in April of last year, the Wiener Linien announced the original opening date of September 2023 will have to be postponed by 1 year. Difficult geological conditions meant that the tunnel, where the U2 and the future U5 connect, would need additional support to make sure it is completely stable. However, 1 year later, when everything should have been set to go, the Wiener Linien postponed it again, this time to a more vague date of autumn 2024. This was because there were several difficulties after some subsurface landslides occurred near the station Rathaus, causing severe damage to the platform doors. Later on, there was also another rather curious reason for the delay: translation problems. As the platform doors were delivered by a French company, there were some communication issues between them and the Wiener Linien when issuing the required permits. It wasn't until 1 week before the opening that the final date was confirmed. So, all in all, the U2 refurbishment project hasn't been an easy one.
Please note that there is no step-free exit at the station. Rathaus in the direction of Zielstadt.
When you arrive at the station Rathaus, you will notice that everything still looks a little bit more rough and ready. You can definitely tell that it was a last-minute job to get everything up and running. The exit up onto street level looks like more of a temporary solution at the moment. Because of this, there is no step-free access on the platform towards Seestadt. However, there is a special shuttle service to the neighbouring stations for mobility-impaired people. The exit lies right in the middle of the construction site for the future U2 station. This will lie directly under the current one. As we walk over onto the platform towards Seestadt, we can already see some evidence of where one day the connection between the U5 and the U2 will be. Down at the other end of the platform, you have the more permanent and modernised exit, Florianigasse. As you walk further, you will see a new lift and a smartly lit staircase that leads up to street level.
So yes, friends, these are the modernised U2 stations. The U2 is now officially open, and I think this is a great relief for all the people who live in Vienna. In my next video, I'm going to take you on a ride on the Manor Christmas tram that runs around Vienna's Ringstraße during the festive period. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on new content when it is released.